Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Mike X. Welcome to another clip from my YouTube channel, Brother Mike X Speaks. Tonight I want to talk to you about, young people in the black and brown neighborhoods, in the inner cities. There's many things going on with our young people. The growing numbers of our young people are becoming, anti-morals, anti-discipline, anti-education, anti-mainstream, and, the worst of it all, becoming anti-life. Our young people, they're not listening like they used to, in every black community, no matter who you talking to, when we talk about how it used to be, we talk about how there was once this fabled time, and it wasn't, I shouldn't say fabled time because it was reality. There was once a time where we was together, we was together across the board, from the adults on down to the babies, and there was a tight, there was a close-knittedness amongst us, and we needed that, and we knew we needed that because we didn't have access, to a lot of the, the mainstream businesses and other things. Racism was definitely more overt at these times, and because we knew these things, we had to practice, a cohesiveness, and we talk about how, once upon a time, if you was out there, showing your behind, that, such and such, would check you, would chastise you and check you. And then they had a open line of communication and practiced a relationship, with each other, so that they would tell your mom later and your dad, and you would catch it again. And how we had that type of community bonding, and we used to share things, and you could knock on somebody's door for sugar and different things of that nature, and we talk about how that's how it used to be, but that's not how it is anymore. We've lost that cohesiveness. We've lost that bond. We've lost that practice of relationships and support. You know what I mean? And how does that impact the young people? Well, first of all, how does that impact our community? Our neighborhoods. It impacts our neighborhoods in a way where, because we don't practice that structure anymore, that cohesiveness, where we are together as the parents and the adults, it makes it easier for the young people to not be together. It makes it harder for us to be able to, wield a united front, so that we can help each other to raise, our children in a way where they would see the benefit in being together. And because we've lost that structure, our young people are now turning to each other, for their lead and how they should live their lives. So our young people, we talk about how our young people today, how they've lost respect for the elders. There's almost like, it's not just a loss of respect, it's almost like a contempt. We speak, our young people speak a lot of times towards the elders, with the utmost contempt. They have lost belief in the elders. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them, because too many of us as elders, too many of us as parents, adults, we don't practice anything that, would allow these young people to have the type of faith and trust and respect in us, that they should, if we were, had their back, if we was doing what we need to do to make sure that they can grow up in a community, where it's safe, there's security, there's opportunities and room for growth. There's a structure of love, and support where they're not out there by themselves, subject to, the worst things, guns and drugs and, police brutality and, all these other things, no jobs, no economic base whatsoever to look forward to, as they grow older. So it's like, it's like a kid, as an example, like myself. I grew up in a single parent household. Me and my two brothers, we were raised by a single mother, my mom. And she did the best that she could, to raise me and my two brothers. And she was working and doing all the things that, that she could, the best that she could, but I didn't have a father, and I've met my father. I met him for the first time when I was 16 years old. I had gotten into some trouble in the neighborhood and, got jumped and, my mom panicked and, somehow, some way was able to reach out to this dude, this absentee dad, and he appeared, and, we started trying to figure out, awkwardly, build, I guess, a relationship. And I remember, his friends, called him Mick, yo, Mick, what's up, Mick, all of those types of things. So me, this man had never been there for me. He had never bought Pampers and changed diapers. He had never held my hand, going to school. He had never tried to help me to learn how, to be a young man or a young boy coming up, and how to deal with, learning how to talk to girls and how to defend myself in the neighborhood and all of these types of things. He hadn't been there for that, for that bond of love and trust to be created. So I started calling him Mick too, and I remember him saying to me like, well, we're going to have to, figure out what you going to call me because, and I'm looking at him like, yo, what? What am I supposed to call you, daddy? You know what I mean? You hadn't been there. You wasn't there to build that type of bond, of loving and caring, to where I would feel that way to be able to call you daddy. Yo, your name is Mick. That's what they calling you. That's how I feel. You Mick. You know what I mean? And I tell you that, I give you that example because, collectively, this is not to say that there are not a lot of dynamic parents out there who are doing their job, who are building loving relationships, of trust and caring and support with their children, because that's definitely going on. But I'm talking about collectively, man. Collectively, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. We have left our young people out there without our presence, man. We are not unified and organized to where we can do what we used to do to provide that structure of love, concern, and discipline. You know what I mean? So like I said, we've lost, just like I didn't have any respect, at the time for this new guy who's coming in here. And yeah, you look like me and what have you. And I know I came from you, but I can't, you're not daddy. You know what I'm saying? You're Mick. The same way with us. When our young people look at us, man, I say again, they have contempt. They have a lack of respect for us. And I don't blame them for having that because we're not protecting them. We're not providing them, with what they need to be able to live successfully in this society, man, without having to make choices and decisions that put them at odds with the mainstream, that make it easier for them to be preyed upon, by the prison industrial complex. You know what I mean? A lot of our kids, they on a fast track to prison. And what's more is they believe that that's the way it's supposed to be. You know what I mean? We're not helping them to make odds and ends out of the educational system. We're not helping them to make odds and ends out of, the political system. We're not helping them to learn how and to believe that, education, is something that has, power, what I mean, for you and people that look like us. When we say, go to school, Get that education. I could hear the young people saying, not even almost, because I work with kids, what is education supposed to do for me? You know what I mean? And it's a real question that we got to start contending with as parents and as adults. What is education doing in the black and brown inner city neighborhoods? What fruit can we point to that directly comes from being educated? You know what I mean? That has put us in a better position. You know what I mean? As the parents, as the adults, that the young people can see. You know what I mean? Benefits that we have accrued through the process of public school education and, going up that ladder into, high school and college and what have you. We don't own nothing. We don't control nothing. You know what I mean? We are subject too many times to being dependent on outsiders, man. For basically everything that is needed in our community. So our young people, a lot of times, I think our young people, to be honest with you, not only have they lost respect, not only have they developed a contempt for us collectively, you know what I mean, as parents and adults. Not only have they done those things, but I feel like our young people are boycotting us now. I just really feel like, they might, they haven't declared it. You know what I mean? They haven't openly declared it. They might not even have thought about it on that conscious level. But I find, I think our young people are really boycotting us. You know what I mean? When we look at the saggy pants, the down past the butt and all of that, you know what I mean? I feel like our young people are trying to go to the extreme to disassociate themselves with the adults. You know what I mean? They've developed their own way of looking at things and acting and dealing with things, like I said, and they put more faith in each other than they put in us. And I say again, man, I don't blame them. You know what I mean? And so to the adults, if we are to reclaim and rebuild relationships with our young people, we got to get humble, man. We got to get humble. And we got to recognize that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And we got to recognize, you know what I mean, and own up to the fact that we've let our young people down. You know what I mean? We have not been present in their lives, in these communities, the way we are supposed to be present. You know what I mean? And so the growing lack of respect and contempt that they are showing towards the adults and the parents, it's a repercussion. It's a repercussion of us letting them down and not being there. So we got to get humble. And we have to begin to return to the young people with humility, and we have to begin to apologize to the young people. That's right. I said apologize to them. Apologize to them for us not being who and what we are supposed to be in their lives. Us not being unified, us not being organized so that we can build the structure, you know what I mean, the village that it takes to raise a child, you know what I mean. We have to apologize to them for that, and we have to go after them. We have to stop pointing our fingers and looking down our nose at them and talking about how it used to be, and the young people used to respect the adults and this, that, and the third, and you should show respect. Yeah, that's how it used to be. That's how it used to be, because at that time we were practicing a stronger presence in the neighborhoods. You know what I mean? And if we want to reclaim and rebuild the relationships with our young so that we can help to direct them and save them from being eaten up by the system, you know what I mean? We have to get our act together. We have to learn how to unify. We have to learn how to practice a dignity and a strength again. We have to learn how to exhibit, the fruits of what education is supposed to bring to people who submit to it. You know what I mean? And if we apologize to them and return to them with love and concern, to build that relationship, I believe that they will return to us with love. And then we can begin to practice community again, family. So, think about that. Let me know what you think. Peace and blessings.